So here's five stocks I'm coattailing from five other YouTubers that I watch, and I've spent a fair bit of time looking at these companies to make sure that I wanted to also invest my personal money into them. So there's Gazprom, Starbucks, Banco ZK, Thor Industries, and Alaska Airlines. My largest holdings would probably be mostly in Gazprom and the Bank OZK. And then third largest would be Alaska Airlines. I'm not as comfortable owning too much of that compared to the rest. Thor Industries, I was hoping for the price to go down a little bit further, so I kind of have missed out. But if the price ever does come down again, I'd really love to have some of their shares. The dividends, I think Gazprom only pays their dividend once a year. I think Starbucks is quarterly, they're quarterly. I'm not sure about Thor, I don't own them yet. And Alaska is three times a year they pay out their dividends. Now, the reason I think it's worth coattailing other people, even if they are YouTubers, I think YouTube is a new platform which does not discount the fact there's going to be very smart people who have done their research really well. And the premise of coattailing to me is that you still have to do your own research to see if you think these companies are worth investing in. And each of these companies, to me, seem very good, and that's why I've made this video about them. I think these ones are worth sharing. I really wish I had got shares of Thor Industries though, but I was being a bit too greedy, hoping the price would come down a little bit further. And at that point in time, all the stocks I was watching were falling a fair bit, and then all of a sudden Thor started to shoot up whilst I was buying a lot of other companies. So I kind of has slipped past me, I guess, unfortunately. The yield for the dividend of Starbucks is quite low, but I think it still has really good international exposure where it can continue to grow. So the cash flows will keep coming through to Starbucks. I know they have recently announced that, due to the COVID, they have closed some stores down permanently. I think they're just trying to make use of the more efficient stores. With Gazprom, they kind of have a moat, like they supply gas to Europe, which Europe is obviously, it's very cold winters. They rely heavily on gas. Banco CK is one I've just learned recently. Phil Town has invested in, and I've always wanted to know what Phil Town owns because I've kind of got started investing, reading his books, and on his toolbox, you can actually search for companies that you like, and this one actually came up when I first started to invest in. And Phil Town actually had pretty good ranking on this stock. So I thought, oh, if it's so good, why doesn't he own it? I've never heard him talk about it. But needless to say, I ended up buying the stock anyway because it looked that, like, at the time, that good and that cheap as the price had fallen. Can't remember how long ago it was now, a year or two ago. But turns out in hindsight now, I brought this stock a little bit too early. But that's probably, in hindsight, probably because COVID was obviously not around then, so it's still a cheap. I think my average cost is 28 and 10 cents. So I think it's trading a lot lower price at the moment though. I think $23 as of making this video. I've already invested too much money into this company though, and I'm finding it really hard to invest more. I actually bought shares at 17, and then when it got to about $19, I kind of thought to myself, I've got way too many shares. I should just sell the profit of the most recent shares I'd bought at 17. And I was kind of hoping that maybe if it goes below, like around $15 or below, then I will continue to invest a little bit more into this. But if that doesn't happen, I'm happy to hold for the long term. So the reason I think coattailing is vital is that there's only so much time you can research yourself and find companies. Even if you watch the news or watch YouTube or just have a look around at the things you buy, it's still hard to get great investment ideas from just reading the news. It really helps to see what other people are buying. And the reason I think coattailing works so well is because people who had coattailed Warren Buffett, I think it was over like a 20 or 30-year period, were still able to have an annual return of 20% per year compounded. And that was just purely by looking at his SEC filings, and that included buying the stocks at the highest price of the month after Warren Buffett had purchased them, and then it also included selling at the lowest price of the month when Warren had sold. And these people, were still able to get a achievement of 20% compounded annually. I think it's a lot harder to coattail Warren Buffett these days. He just has too much money in, and he can buy out the company too easily because of the amount of cash he has. And Warren Buffett has said, many times lately that the company's just way too big to find really good investment returns compared to how it was years and years ago when he first started.